What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another CSGO edition. Man, I just love doing these videos, and it helps me build in my process. So I'm hoping everybody listening out there is not only enjoying the content, but also helping. Hopefully, this content is helping them build optimal lineups, a lot of cash builds. And GPP, I think. There's always so many ways to go, but I think obviously stacking against ownership is definitely the way to go, just because I do think that as many esports are, there's a high variance of outcomes. I mean, we can have, we saw today, I think every single underdog won. So I think, don't just you don't have to eat the chalk in GPP. So again, I am mostly a cash player. Actually, I am almost exclusively a cash player. So that's kind of why, and you probably have noticed in most of my builds, that's where I am going. So let's hop into tomorrow's slate. I will be on vacation this weekend. Likely will not have a video for Saturday slate and Sunday slate, but hopefully get back started at the beginning for next week. So let's get into our odds first, per usual. And thanks to you that have subscribed. We are at 398 subscribers as I speak. We are at two more away from 400. That is our next goal. Again, just the comments, the likes, the subscribe, that helps us get our content out to everybody. And all of our YouTube content is always going to be free. We have had Gator Guy has done some soccer content. That's free, but then also has pushed some behind the paywall. So we are trying to not only help out everybody, but our paid subscribers are getting a little bit more access in some of our areas as well. So we have a 3-game slate starting at 11 o'clock Central with our one and only ZywOo and Team Vitality taking on Big. We obviously know Big has been one of the hottest teams in the world right now. They are coming in as a -140 favorite against Vitality. I think in this case, before you even look at the pricing, it's one of those cases that you can actually play somebody against players, because ZywOo is such a player that is kind of like out of the norm that you would normally not want to negatively correlate. He's just that much further ahead than everybody, and just in that elite tier that even if you want to play some people on the big side and play ZywOo, I think that's definitely viable tomorrow. Fnatic is actually our biggest favorite on the slate against Godsent, who lost today to OG, and they lost 2-1. So Fnatic being the biggest favorite on the slate, they let us down so many times, but it's hard to not start looking there at -215. And then we have EG and Team Liquid are basically a pick'em. So we will look a little bit more at their recent matchups, maybe to kind of help end pricing, just to see which side we want to take on this. And this one might be more of a focus for the showdown slate. And maybe less of the main slate if we really like the options from the first 2 games. So let's start in our builds here. Let's go to Vitality and Big. On the Vitality side, who is the underdog? ZywOo at 10,400. Likely will be the highest owned player, even with that price tag. I think the pricing is starting to get a little bit more aggressive on him. I don't think, regardless of any matchup, he should be under 10K, just to make people start making decisions on to use him or not. But he will still be highly owned. He has the highest floor on the slate, along with the highest upside on the slate. So in cash, I definitely suggest getting him into your builds. The rest of their team, Shocks. If Vitality wins, I do think somebody like Shocks probably meets this value of 6.8K. In a loss or close matchups, then these guys kind of can get really washed together. Shocks is typically still the second best player. RPK has been playing really well lately. But again, I think you kind of have to take a stand on Vitality if you're going to use anybody other than ZywOo, just because of how good Big has been lately. So on the big side, Tabson coming in as the most expensive player, which he was 6,800 the last slate. And this is kind of where we just shake our head at the DK pricing algorithm here. That Searson is 7,400. Likely will be the second highest owned player behind Zaiwu, would be my my ownership guesstimation here, my ownership projection. And then Zanartes would be not very far behind at 7K. So these two are awesome plays here, especially as favorites. So this is a spot that I could see you using Searson, Zanartes, and Zaiwu. I probably would not 3-stack big in this case, just because you are playing Zaiwu. But I do think these two, just because the prices are criminally underpriced on these guys, I think they're definitely viable to stack with Zaiwu. It's not, you don't have to 100% do it, because there is definitely other options that we'll see here next. And just looking back at Vitality and Big here, they haven't played each other since looks like March of 2019 is what I'm seeing here. Yeah. So can't really put a lot of stock into that. Obviously, Big 2-0 Fnatic, 2-0 Godsend, 2-0 FaZe. They did lose 2-1 to OG, 2-0 FaZe. Vitality's on a 4-game win streak here too, but just not against the same quality of opponents that Big has been beating. So I still think we definitely like the Big side here. It will be interesting, to see where we go for maps. I don't know. Well, it'll be interesting. So that's where I'm kind of at with that game. So let's move on to the next one, Godsend and Fnatic, and I'm going to start on the Fnatic side. Brawlin was an absolute monster in their last matchup, I think against Big. Yeah, he had 38 kills on the first map, led the team in the second map too with like 28. So he, certainly crushed value, even being on a loser. 89 DK against Big, 59 and 37, with a lot of rounds not played, I think, just due to that. Yeah, he had the ace, he had a 4-kill, a couple clutch plays. And that is Brawlin for you, man. He is going to come in and he's going to look to entry frag. He's going to look to be aggressive. You will see that death rate sometimes be a little bit higher just because he is so aggressive. But yeah, he is a phenomenal play. 9,800 is a little steep. Just with Zaiwu, I think that could be a pivot off of Zaiwu, but it's going to be really tough to build with Zaiwu and Brawlin here. So that's why I think somebody like Crims is in a really good spot with a really nice price tag. So I really like Crims at 7,600. Flusha has been really hit and miss. So 8,200 is a little tough to swallow. I think you could probably maybe get away with going to JW as a punt for 6,400 if you need that there. But Crims is my favorite play from here. It's unfortunate that the pricing, it's good. It's good for the game because this pricing on Fnatic, I do think will spread out some ownership because they're the biggest favorite, which is where people tend to stack. But I think because Brawlin's price is so close to Zaiwu, I think that will bring down Brawlin's ownership unless people are just completely punting at captain. But we've seen a lot of people play Zaiwu at captain lately, which just might be another slate that happens if people find enough value. All right, let's move on to the Godsend side. Farley getting a little bit of a price drop, which he was probably too expensive, over 10K, but 9.2K, I think he is definitely viable if you are GPP stacking Godsend. My difficult thing with Godsend after Farlig is now if you are 3-stacking, you are having to pick 2 out of Madden, Zen, and Styko, and they all are really similar in projections. So maybe find a coin, flip it. Maybe you like the Madden game, so you take him. I don't know. Whatever you look at, maybe you're going to look closer at map choices and maybe one of them sticks out to you. But I'm not really going to Godsend in cash, so I think they are GPP only for me. Team Liquid. Oh, and let's go to Fnatic and Godsend. The last time they played would be in May, at the end of May. It looks like Fnatic 2-0'd them. And pretty easily. Yes, I do remember this train map, 16-3. And I think that, let's just take a look, see if I can bring it up. I'm almost certain that Crims just went berserk in that game, or in that map. Or maybe, probably the whole team did, but particularly Crims. So let's just see overall what the numbers look like in that matchup. Yeah, so Crims 69 and 49 against Godsent the last time they played. Flusha 62 and 59, Brawlin 54 and 48. JW went just over positive. And actually, the Godsent side played really well, and they must have I think they must have played. Oh, it was 3 maps. I see. It was 3 maps. And Godsent won in overtime on Nuke and then lost at Inferno and then just got destroyed on Train. So I do think, Crims and Flusha are probably your first targets. And then if you think you have enough money to get up to Brawlin, you can go that route. And maybe if you play Brawlin, you might just go Brawlin, Crims, and JW to kind of save some cash there. So we have a pick 'em here. So let's start on the criminally underpriced side. Per usual for EG, they're always underpriced. We haven't really seen them be a really big favorite though either, like a massive favorite like we saw early on in the Road to Rio and the ESL one. So Cirque at 7,200 is too cheap. I really like him there. Breeze under 7K is just insane. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. Now, he's definitely had some hiccups lately. He's dropped some really bad games, and this obviously doesn't show all the games, and that's one thing that players that are not that are a little bit more casual look at the game logs and then base it off of that, and then they forget that DK actually leaves out like every other game or weeks worth of games that so don't just go off of that, but it is nice when they get the most recent performance on there. Ethan 6,600 is really a good play as well. It's just tough here in a pick 'em. I think if you have a side that you take, and if we look here, they've played each other. So on June 27th, EG swept Team Liquid 2-0, and then on the 17th of June, EG won 2-1. Then if we go back to April, Team Liquid swept them twice in April, and then in March they won 2-1. So I think, you're just seeing here, and EG is on a streak right now. Gen G, Liquid, Furia, MIBR, Furia. So because of the pricing, I think I like EG better, but individual players, it's really hard to argue against someone like Elige here. And NAF, when they're playing at the top level of their game, they're in a vacuum just better overall players talent wise. But I don't think really you're going to get to a lot of Elige here, just because the salaries will just be too tight if you're using Zaiwu and trying to jam in Brawlin, or using Flusha and Crims. NAF is a little bit more affordable. Twist is definitely affordable, so Twist might be more popular to me, or somebody that I'm more interested in. But again, it's really hard. I think I am on the EG side just because I think I'm getting more talent for a cheaper price tag if I am using them to build with my Zaiwu and big stacks, or with Fnatic, or just as a one-off. Using someone like Cirque as a one-off is a great idea, or Breeze. Nice 2-man stack with them. So I'm going on the EG side. I think it's going to be super tight. It's basically more on pricing than anything, because I don't always put a ton of stock into recent head-to-head performances, because the map picks might change, especially if a team lost both matches with the same map picks. So then you'll definitely see some other variants that will be added to the match. So start with Zaiwu if you're playing cash. Zaiwu and Crims and Searson likely to do my 3 places that I would start in cash, and then try to build around that. See if you can fit something in with Zaiwu at captain. There's not really a ton of great super cheap options to punt with. Golden, I refuse to play. I think if you think big, I don't know. Honestly, I don't really feel very comfortable with any super punts today. Like a lot of people went to Hampus And obviously any play on NIP other than Plopsky completely backfired on everybody, like myself. But luckily I was under-owned on the field with only two-man stacking Knock and Plopsky and not using one in a captain. It was a pretty common build today to see the three-man stack with an extra half player in the captain role. And just as we got a little bit of time here, finishing up, I'm going to go back to my build today for cash. I think there is maybe one pivot that I could have made. 100 Thieves did get swept, and sorry, history here. And this matchup against Bills fan 777. Pretty sharp player in every sport. He's not going to just throw out something atrocious. Got a lot of respect for him. Knock was really popular in captain spot in all the contests that you would have looked to see. Hampus, though, I don't know. This is the problem when people punt. Like, yes, they lost 2-0. So, you really want the 2-0 sweep when you're punting with someone like Hampus at that price. But they were minus 300. So the sweep was definitely in play. It just wasn't somewhere that I was getting to. Otherwise, I think the only other change that I could have potentially made was going Yuri instead of JKS at captain, just Yuri being a bigger favorite. JKS obviously still performed really well. And even in a 2-0 loss, I mean, because that first map went into like triple overtime and Jacob played really well. I mean, this is what's insane. Look at these scores in a 2-0 loss is pretty crazy to me. But I will take it. So I did not get to KS Serrato because I didn't really want to go below below Jacob at 6,400. I think Gratisfaction was fine too. I do like Jacob, especially when they are projected to get Vertigo, where he typically plays really well at. So that was my build today. I cashed in both my lineups. The other opponent did have Laid from OG, or however you pronounce it. He had like 53, but he did use Knock at the captain spot. So I think a lot of people who use Knock up there probably did not make a lot of money today just due to 24 whole points in captain. And if you take away the rounds not played, he would have scored negative along with Hampus. So pretty insane to see something like that against someone like North. But if you give North Vertigo, AZ typically goes off, and that's what happens. So that is all today. Again, subscribe to our channel, give it a like, give it a comment. Any support on Twitter, my Twitter account is linked below. Give me a follow. When I tweet out our videos, shoot the like, hit the retweet. Hop over to our Discord channel. We got core plays posted for every slate, every esport. So hope to see you around. Thanks a lot.